In this video, you will learn how to use Meta's artificial intelligence on Instagram and WhatsApp. Doing it on Instagram is a bit different than on WhatsApp, since here you have to technically invoke Meta. To invoke it, we go to a chat. To do that, we go here. Here, I will message a person to start a conversation, and here, to invoke Meta's artificial intelligence, I first have to type an @ sign. There it appears. I click it, and here, I can ask for various things. For example, a question is already finished. I will click it. And a fun fact is that the other person will receive a message from the artificial intelligence, and it is a bit curious. Well, here I asked about handheld PCs, and it tells us about different models, for example, the Steam Deck, the Asus, and others that are about to be released. In fact, if I click here, I can see even more information. And well, this is the first practical use of Meta's artificial intelligence, which is simply asking it things. You can ask it for news or ask it to explain something to you. For example, I will invoke it again and tell it to explain the theory of relativity to me. I click on it, and now it will explain the theory of relativity to me in a simple way. I can even tell it to explain it to me as if I were in elementary school, high school, or to make it very easy to explain. In fact, it finished here, and we can see it puts the messages in a row. And well, it says here, we have special relativity, general relativity, and a few more things. Now, I can also ask it to create an image. Here, I just have to select the bottom part that says image. Well, it says imagine, and we can create practically anything. For example, let's create a handheld PC from the future. I click it, and we have to wait for it to finish generating our photograph. It says it cannot generate it, maybe because it is a somewhat strange topic, so I will put a white rabbit. Here, I have something interesting. I'll just put this in. There it is, and let's wait to see what it generates for us. Done. It's finished. Here, we have a rabbit with a red hat. It is curious. And well, there it is. Remember, you can keep invoking Meta's artificial intelligence simply with an @ sign and select either of these two options here. Well, it is not that relevant since you can mute the chats whenever you want. Now, let's test it on WhatsApp. Something interesting happens here, since if we click, we have a specific button for Meta's artificial intelligence, which would be this one. I click it, and, well, it tells us, well, a welcome message appears, and several simple prompts and such appear. For example, let's ask it to generate this for us. Remember, use the word imagine, or you can also tell it to generate an image, create an image, whatever you want. You just have to refer to an image. Here, we have the rabbit at the gym. It is quite curious, and we can also ask it for the exact same thing. For example, we will tell it to explain it to us. I have it right here. I click it, and it will explain the theory of relativity to us. Done. It has finished explaining the theory of relativity to us. We have to scroll down. Here, we have exactly the same thing, well, written in a different way. And we can ask it for practically anything. The difference here is that we can click this button to upload photos, take photos, and we can even upload documents. For example, I am going to open the camera and point it at my mouse, for example. I click it and I can, tell it. For example, I asked it what kind of mouse it is. Let's wait for its response. And remember, it is like a type of chat with an artificial intelligence, and it appears here for us. In fact, it seems to me that it did guess the model. I am not so sure if it is the same model, but it is a red dragon. It is very, very interesting, and I think it is this exact model, but it guessed quite well. This is how you can use Meta's artificial intelligence on Instagram and WhatsApp. Remember, they are a bit different, but if you want to use artificial intelligence better and more completely, I recommend using it on WhatsApp, since here we have a completely personal chat and we can send it audio, upload files, upload photos, and do many more things.